Hi, welcome to Tackle Tarts. We're at the Royal George. I'm fishing on my own because James is going to Linney Gores next week, and he's sorting out his stuff and checking what he needs, so he's not fishing. He might be coming up, not too sure though. It's possible that he will do, I don't know. But it's looking good. I've not had anything on the for the carp. Like I've got the rods out, and one on a choddy, and one's on a fluorocarbon rig with a long shank hook and quite a long D over on the outside, and they're both on xtr-a pop-ups, and one of them's out in the middle and the other one's down my right hand side, probably about 2 rod lengths from the bank. I've not seen any carp, but what I have done, I've had a little dabble for pike because there's quite a few in here, and I've already had 2 drop takes, so that's looking pretty good for another take. It's probably a small fish. I'm only using small dead baits, little sprats. That's why I keep looking over the other side of the camera, because I'm looking at the float, waiting for it to go under. But yeah, they've had a couple of bites out of it, and it's looking a bit ragged. But hopefully it'll want to come back. And if I do get a pike and it's a half decent sized one, and I can get the camera set up quickly, then I'll show you. But if not, because they're quite a fragile fish, you shouldn't really keep them out of the water for very long at all. So if not, then I'll just pop it straight back. But we'll have to see. Hopefully I can bag one, so we'll have to see. Right, well, I had no success with the pike. I've wound it in. I can't bother fishing for him anymore. Seems I only had those 2 takes, and then it sort of must have given up, sort of thing, or it might have felt the hooks or something. It looked like when I wound the fish in, it was like cut in half, where its teeth had gone across, and it's obviously had a hook in its mouth from where that slash was on the fish. So I'll wait a bit more before I put that back out. Still nothing on the carp rods except for my net blowing off the reeds and landing on them. That sort of startled me. But yeah, it's getting, the wind's picking up as it's sort of the day's going on, and it's sort of it's blowing into me, which is why I've got the front on the brolly, so I don't get too cold or anything. So really the fish should be over this side, because saying that the water isn't becoming cloudy. If you remember when I had those 4 fish from here in one day, that day the water went really cloudy, and it was a lot windier than this. So that's probably the reason. It was really churning the water up, and that must have what caused the fish to feed. I'm hoping that I'll be able to bag one very soon. Right, since I've just been picked up by a duck, and they took the pop-up off, I'm going to show you the trick what I said I was using with the pop-ups to make them more buoyant so they stay on the chod rig. What I'll do is I'll get a pop-up out, They're just the standard, you know, like the standard pop-ups. So they're fine for every other rig other than a choddy because they're buoyant enough for that. But a chod rig, it needs to. I also have them out for quite a long time, and it's like a big hook, and it takes quite a buoyant bait to keep it up for that long. See the boilie there? Just a 15mm triple S pop up. Then what I've got here is a drill. I think it's a 6mm drill, and it's primarily for drilling out nuts and stuff, but people use it for boilies. And then I'll just take it into the end, and then I'll drill all the way through until I get to the other side. And what this does is makes a 6mm hole, which will accept a piece of cork. And because the actual cork itself is a lot more buoyant than the pop-up mix, it'll actually keep it up for a lot longer and keep the chod rig nice and upright and not like falling over to one side like it does do if your bait's not buoyant enough, and that way it won't work properly. So I'm just making sure that hole's done like that, and then what I do is grab this piece of cork, which is here. I've already cut it to size, so that'll go onto the best trick I can give you is when you're doing it on a chod rig, especially with this kind of pop-up, which is made with pop-up mix. I'd say because you're gonna have to pierce it when you put this in, unless you possibly could tie it, but I'm gonna pierce it. Because it won't make any difference now that you've just drilled a massive hole through it anyway. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little cork plug, and when I put it, I'm going to put it on the baiting needle first. That's a good tip, that, because if you try and do it if you push it in the boilie in that hole there, if you push it in there and then try and thread the needle through that, it'll just pop out the end and you'll never do it, and you might end up splitting the boilie. So that's the best way to do it. And then you just take your boilie and put it over, and then just work the cork plug into it by twisting it. And eventually it'll go all the way in. Yeah, it's in. It's nearly in. There. Right, and that's in now. So as you can see, that's on the needle. And then just there you can see the end of the cork. And that keeps the bait really buoyant, and it won't kick the chod rig over to one side or make it lie flat on the bottom or something, like it would do if I didn't have that piece of cork in there. I have got some cork ball pop-ups being rolled for me by Slayer for the chod rig, and they should be here next time I fish here. It's quite a nifty trick. Okay. I've got the bait floss, the ESP bait floss, and what I do is I just pull off a length. And I've pulled off a length of that now. Everyone should have a bit of bait floss for tying baits on and stuff like that in the bag. What I do is I double it over, so you've got like a doubled over section at the end there. Hook the baiting needle inside, and then pull the boilie on. Right, and there's the boilie on. Now you could, if you wanted to, put a boilie stop in there. But as I said, I'm not using them. I prefer not to. There's a much neater way of doing it. If you get a lighter, and this bit here, if I burn this, I'll just show you there. Yeah, it's melted there. And then just flatten it. It's very unobtrusive. Really, you couldn't tell. It's like one. It's become one with the cork on the end. So that's the boilie on there, on the bait floss, and then you've got your two pieces there of the bait floss. And then what I'm going to do is, because I've got this cork on here, I can tie it to the ring really easily, because that cork won't split when I try to tie it onto the ring. If I were to do it with, if I put the hair through the side of the pop up there, so that the cork is on either end. When I tie the knot, it'd go all the way through the boilie and just split the boilie completely, because it's not hard enough to keep the knot on the outside. As I say, normally I'd tie just completely around the outside and that'd be fine, but because these aren't quite buoyant enough to keep the choddy up, I need to do that. But then what I do is I get my chod rig, which is here on the end of this leader, and I will tie it on. It's just a couple of overhand knots through that ring. Just take one piece of the two pieces that are coming out the end of your bait floss and poke it through your rig ring, and then just tie it on in a couple of overhand knots. Right, you won't believe what's just happened. I've got my pike rod. I had it in. I've still got it in now, but I had it in the edge, and because the pike in here like to patrol the marginal shelf, and I'm sat in my brolly tying up a solid bag for one of my carp rods, and I heard a noise, and I looked up and there was a massive swirl around it, and I thought, oh, there's a pike there, and it wasn't a pike, it was a carp. It was trying to eat the float, and I think it's spooked, so I don't know where it's gone, but I've now got my right hand rod further towards me, and my left hand rod is also further towards me. I'm just thinking that they're a bit closer in than I've been casting. That's why I haven't had anything. But it's looking good for a bite. The weather's quite overcast, but I think if the sun comes out, it'll look even better, because the wind's calmed down quite a bit now. So, and it usually fishes better in the evening when there's a bit of sun on it. I did say that I was going to show you the rig on my right hand rod. I've wound it in actually. It's down here. It's as you can see, it's pop up on the end there, and I've got, it's like it's a fluorocarbon uplink, same fluorocarbon that I used for that one with the curved shank hook on Tanner's, but it's on a D, 20 turns round on a long shank hook, and then a shot like an inch away. Really simple to tie. As long as you can tie a knotless knot, you can tie that rig, and it's really effective. So I've put a solid bag on the rod that was on. But I said in the on one of the episodes that I was going to go down to Linear, and we've had a change of plan now, because Linear had a few thefts recently, and my dad didn't really fancy going down there. So we're going back to the place where I went for my 16th birthday, and we're going down to Furnace Lakes in West Sussex. Hopefully this time I'll bag something a bit bigger. Last time I went down I only caught a 7-pounder, but hopefully I'm going to try really hard to get a cat, because I never caught one, so I want to try and catch one, and so we'll see what happens there. But for now we have the George, which is sort of proving its other name, the Impossible Lake. At the moment we'll have to see what's going to happen. James still doesn't know whether he's going to come up or not. He's been to the tackle shop and all that, and we'll have to see. Depends when I go home really whether he comes up or not, but yeah, we'll have to see. So alright, let's hope the carp start playing ball soon. Right, unfortunately not caught any fish this time on tackle tarts. I'm really bored now, there's no fish about, and I think it's about time I should get off. So I'm going to pack up and go home, and next time you see me I'll be in West Sussex, so I'm really looking forward to that. So I'll see you next time. Just had a couple of bleeps then. I'll see you next time.